All right, everybody. Jake in the 308 back again. If you remember from last time, we were sitting down with Garth Andersen, Andersen Ag Services. This is part 2 of our chat with him. We have a lot of good stuff to get to yet, and so we're going to jump right in. Thank you for coming back to the Farmer Tan podcast. We're all UNL alumni. Garth got out in 95. I got out in 06. Jared, you got out in 13. So not quite all 10 years, but I mean,
ish.
So yeah. And it's interesting. I bet, Jared probably had some of the same professors we did.
I would imagine,
and it is interesting. And this is not a dig at the university system, but certain things they really excel at, and other things I feel like sometimes they're sort of following up. They're kind of bringing in the stuff that private industry has already tracked through, and I don't know.
That's a question I had kind of coming in written down since we're kind of on the topic. But what would you say the main differences are marketing now compared to when you started?
Well, just when I started in the deal, the loan officers and the lending institutions were almost anti-marketing. It didn't seem like there was a good handle on like margin money and margin calls and how everything flowed, and it rightfully so. They came out of the hedge to arrive thing where back then, I mean, people sold basically 3 years of crop for for the fall delivery, and then when corn goes back down, we'll just buy it all back and we'll make all this money. Well, it didn't. I mean, and then to try to move stuff out, it was inverted and backwards. And, I saw corn settlements in the late 90s of less than $1 a bushel.
Yeah.
Oh. I mean, because they had done that. And so the institutions, the lending side of things was pretty tight. I mean, it and rightfully so. The biggest two things that really stick out in my mind is the knowledge of producers today. I mean, they're businessmen. I mean, they run businesses, and that's one big change. And the other big change I would say is, I can remember back in the day that if corn moved to half a cent, that was a big move. That was, I mean, why was corn up a half today?
Half a cent.
What happened?
Yeah.
And long about probably I'm trying to think of what year that was, probably the early 2000s. We started seeing this fund, the fund investment, the fund traders start coming into the market, and index funds and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I can remember, the analysts saying, well, we're starting to see, more investment and more, what kind of portfolios do these people have? I mean, commodities became a portion of a portfolio. And so the amount of speculative dollars and the amount that the market has grown of volume is, I mean, just straight up.
Sure.
The volatility that we see now, the highs that are probably too high, the lows that are too low, the whipsaws, I mean, the other day, I mean, soybeans moved about 18 cents in a matter of, just like, geez, when did that,
Yeah, right.
And I think that's the most frustrating thing for me, farming, is just, we know what the fundamentals are, but to a degree, they don't even matter because the funds might move enough to counteract whatever news in the fundamentals came out. But it seemed like it used to be, you get a hot, dry spell in July, corn prices go up. That's a good opportunity to sell.
Yep.
You should have stuff sold before harvest because there's just going to be supply pressure and the markets are going to go down. And it's just kind of, that seemed to be the pattern, is you get some sort of summer scare, and that was your opportunity to sell, have it done by harvest, because through the winter, there's going to be supply. Anymore, it's hard to get a feel for it.
Well, and in, along those lines, and you alluded to it before, but, 3, 4, 5 days a week of wet weather at planting time, that used to drive a market. change. And now it doesn't even hardly resonate because to some degree, like you said, you can grow yourself out of a hole pretty easy. So,
well, and I think this past year was a perfect example of something like that because, if you look back in March and April, the funds basically were record short positions in corn and beans. So they'd sold records amounts. They were holding a short position. It was raining. Guys were getting flooded out, replanting, couldn't get in. It was wet. It was cold, and, government reports just kind of said, no, it's going to be a record crop. I mean, they plugged in 184 bushel corn and 53 or 4 bushel beans.
Yep.
And that's what the balance sheet said. So the funds traded that. I mean, they traded that all year long.
Mm-hmm.
And, that like the report we just had the other day, I mean, they cut 1.5 bushels off the soybeans. I mean, that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised to see corn maybe a little bit coming there. I questioned that things were that good this year. I questioned last year's numbers.
Right.
We had all this corn sitting around. It was basically as good as a crop as we've ever had a year ago. And we had our basis levels out here were astronomical.
Yeah.
Very, very high positive basis. And, well, it's in the Eastern Corn Belt. Well, I don't know. I mean,
yeah.
I think my kind of big welcome to the fun thing was 2019. We all knew there was a huge problem with the crop. I mean, all knew there's a lot of prevent plant. We all knew it was too cool. It wasn't going to raise a decent crop across the whole U.S., but the USDA kept saying, hey, we're hitting trend line yields. They never backed off that all of 2019. And then it came out finally in January 2020. They finally admitted.
Went back a year and said,
Yeah.
nope, we missed it.
Missed
and
it
by
big.
a long
And
ways.
it drove a huge rally, but
Yeah.
that's too late for 2019
Yep.
for a lot of that
Yep.
crop.
Yep.
We all knew it wasn't going to be there. We had to unload some at prices we knew didn't reflect, but because what USDA said, what the funds were trading, the fundamentals didn't matter that much or matter enough.
They traded what
Yeah.
what they told it was going to be.
Yeah.
I mean,
Even though everybody on the ground knew
Yep.
it's
Nope.
not going to be there.
nope.
And, I think to some degree, and on the really big swings like that, maybe not as much, but, to some degree, the funds as a group, they have so much pull and influence that between that and USDA, you can almost just speak it into existence. Like,
Yeah.
if they want to convince you that you have an oversupply, then it is. I mean,
Yeah.
Well,
what are you going to do different?
the tail will start wagging the dog.
You're right.
Is what it is. And there'll be a reason these funds will jump in and they're going to, I mean, they already have. I mean, they've already bought, out of their shorts basically in corn. But, if they want to keep pushing it and keep getting long, the market, they'll find a reason that says, well, yeah, that's why corn's going up is because, whatever this is over here.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we were dealing with when we started seeing this involvement. And the analysts were looking and saying, well, if these commodities now are an investment tool and they're looking at commodities as being an investment, what kind of potential do they have to move these markets? And I mean, this has been years ago, so I'm probably not right, but they were looking at trying to study to see what assets they had, and they were thinking, maybe hundreds of billions. Well, it's trillions. And, I just remember thinking, for a small part of the portfolio that these funds are looking at commodities, I mean, they could buy the entire corn crop, bean crop, and wheat crop,
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
and just like, to me, I'm just like, it's almost trying to fit a watermelon in a lemon skin. I mean, it just, the amount that they have to work with is, it's like, geez, this thing could get wild.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and now today, to combat, that, I mean, it's all electronic traded. So, everybody says, well, if you see something happening, let me know. Well, by the time I see it,
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you it's done.
You're right.
But, you've got artificial intelligence that just scans headlines and these computers are generating trades. It's a computer generated algorithm. And I mean, when like I told Jared, I said, when report day comes out, I don't even wait for the report. I watch the markets. I mean, because within 11 o'clock in 3 seconds. I mean, the market has reacted.
Yeah.
I mean, how are we?
Yeah.
How do you expect to beat that?
Yeah. Yeah. So, that's one of those, if you need to have a position to protect yourself, that needs to be in place and ready to execute ahead of that.
You get to a number and you take your number and you just say, okay, what can I do? If this proves to be completely wrong, how do I be not so wrong?
Right.
How do I be not wrong all year? And
which is really a pretty fair strategy in a lot of areas in life,
well, just you got to be able,
being married, all that. How do I just not be wrong all the time?
But there's only
you fill the gas tank is for one. That would be a start.
Yes,
there's only a straddle we could put on arguments in marriage, right?
Right.
Pick a side.
Yeah.
If I reach this wrong of a level, I need to get out. We need to get out of this.
Yeah,
somehow.
Yeah.
Damage control.
If I'm right, we need to get out.
Yeah. Is there? Yeah. Where do you come out on the cattle side?
Well, I think we're heading into the time of the year. I mean, if things weaken a little bit here, I wouldn't be totally surprised.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a few
sale barn fall pressure and all that.
Well, and just, the grilling days are kind of winding down and
says who?
Well, I'll scoop snow, I'll chip ice to get to my grill. I mean, we grill 14 months a year.
Yeah, and if you don't, turn in your man card.
Well, I was going to say, leave it at the door.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not going to get any more cattle. We import feeder cattle from Mexico and Canada. We have imported more this year than we've had in the past, but not like, if our cow numbers are truly at a 50-year low, I mean, a lifetime low, we're not importing 50 years worth of feeders.
Right.
But, it's just kind of getting to be that time of the year. I think next spring, I guess I'm still a little optimistic, as we get a little further down the road, I mean, you kind of gear up into the new year. Boxes, I watch box beef prices, they've been kind of hanging, above 300, which it usually, hadn't till recently, really. I mean, kind of trading between, 3 and 315, 320 on choice. So, I kind of try to watch load counts. I mean, see what stuff's moving, but it seems to be moving reasonably smooth. I just, gets dark at 4 o'clock and I don't see anybody, standing outside except maybe us three grilling hamburgers or steaks or something. So,
that's, that's a fact.
Lamb.
Lamb. Yeah. Grilling lamb, maybe.
Boy.
Is there much for holiday pressure really anymore? Is that already baked into the market?
No,
not really.
I don't. They talk about it. I mean,
more of a talking point.
I kind of wonder. I mean, there's a lot of prime rib gets eaten on even Thanksgiving, maybe, Christmas and New Year's and the holidays. I mean,
yeah,
there's a lot of.
Are we seeing the same sort of thing in the livestock side that we're seeing in the grain side, as far as, are you sending bigger animals to the packing house? And so even if numbers are down,
exactly,
you're still sending more, you're sending more beef, you're sending more pork,
Well, and it is. I mean, that's one of the things that's really bailed us out, or so to speak anyway, but, carcass weights are heavier.
Yeah.
I mean, they have been. I do think this last week or two, we've kind of maybe seen them level off a little bit.
And if you think they're heavy now, you should try buying feed at Laird's and see how heavy they'll get. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of been part of it. I mean, they needed to be bigger. I mean, our cow slaughter numbers are tightening up some, We're not slaughtering them. I mean, I think we've slaughtered just about everything we can.
I think every coal cow in the nation's be gone by now, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Every cow with a bad attitude's on a hamburger bun.
Well,
long time ago.
It's just one looks at you cross-eyed, tempted to sell her.
Yeah, you get a little wolfy in the springtime.
That's
I
right.
ain't putting up
Your days are numbered.
Yeah. You were talking about importing stuff, Mexico and whatever all else, but is that mostly lean they're bringing in to try to...
Well, they'll bring feeders from Mexico and Canada.
Bringing feeders too.
Yeah. It's been a while since I've looked. I mean, so I probably shouldn't even say anything, but, I was thinking between the two of them, maybe if it was last month or something, I looked, and, we're maybe 1 million head more than what we did a year ago at that time, which, if we're killing 600,000 a week, I mean, that's a week and a half slaughter. So, I mean,
it sounds
like a lot,
a lot, but it's not.
It's not like we're, and that's, I can't wrap my head around the numbers. If we got that few of cows and our cow slaughter is basically run dry almost, where the feedlot, I don't see empty feedlots.
Right.
Yeah. They're starting to put Holsteins in them now.
Well, but they were there before. I've heard that argument too. Well, it's beef on dairy. Well, I mean,
but that's sort of
the
always.
thing is, it seems like people have been willing to sell heifers at, more. Have there been more heifer calves on feed? I guess is what I'm getting at. But it seems like the bill's going to come due on that someday of not retaining replacements.
Percentage wise, it has been, and that's always everybody looks. Well, are we placing more heifers? Are we still placing heifers? And we kind of have been up until now. So we'll see as this, as we go through the winter and into the spring, if the heifer numbers going into feedlots are still about the same percentage. I mean, we're not building the cow herd then.
No.
Do you follow much for like consumer preference on the retail side? So I guess what I'm asking is, when you go to the grocery store, are they replacing beef with another protein product because, it's pricing your domestic use out, or not really?
No, I think we've held in exceptionally well for some of the prices. I mean, I really do. I think people are developing a taste for beef and maybe some higher cuts of beef.
Yeah. That would sort of be my take as well, but I didn't know.
That was a silver lining of COVID is it seems like everybody has a bigger market for home-raised beef for friends and family. I know I've seen it. I know some other people saying it made a nice side business out of it, of people actually processing their own beef.
Yeah.
And I think you develop a taste for that. It's kind of hard to go back to the select ribeyes they're selling you at Walmart for $15.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It is. And we've kind of done that too. And I mean, people that have never had it, it's like, geez, that is so good. But, you age them and you get that flavor there that's just missing.
And the best cuts aren't going straight to the restaurants where they never even see it.
Yeah.
It's amazing what some marbling can do for a cut of beef.
Little juice.
So this is a little bit down that same line, but it's going to be a potentially disturbing question for everybody. You're going out to a restaurant, okay?
That is disturbing.
And maybe it's with your significant other, or maybe it's with some friends going out as some couples, or whatever you're doing, but you're going, and let's say decent restaurant, maybe even
bordering on nice.
Yeah, maybe even it is
Wendy's.
nice. It is nice. Yeah, you had to get nice jeans out before you can go.
Yeah, change your jeans.
Change your
Not
jeans.
your napkin jeans.
No,
Okay.
and you need to leave your pliers at home, and get
one of them kind of places.
yeah, get your nice cap. Don't have to go capless,
nice
but you got to wear a nice one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you sit down and the waiter comes by and says, "Hey, what can I get you?" What are you ordering? Do you order a steak when you go out?
Nope.
I don't either.
Nope. I couldn't even remember the last time I ordered a steak in a restaurant.
Right.
My philosophy, and I'll see if you guys agree, but I am a firm believer of, I have some of the best beef in the freezer at home, or at least I am friends or family with people that do one way or the other. I can do that at home the way I want it.
But I've got I got a $3-4 ribeye sitting in the freezer at home. That's just as good as they're trying to sell me for $35-40.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's my reason. It's just hard for me to pay that much when I got it at home.
So what will you order?
Curious.
So okay, so I'll go first, right?
Okay.
Yeah, just to get, I absolutely
Yams.
yams. Yes, I will just.
Right.
Can I have a yam salad?
Yes,
Is that like the senior insert at the Perkins? That's where yams are found?
I will order yams and summer sausage and just be happy, smiling the whole time. Can I get some crackers to put this on?
Yeah.
Pay money for that.
Sardines.
No.
Yeah, see, now you're missing out there. I like sardines too.
I don't think I am.
Oh,
Ugh.
yeah.
Owen gets those too, but he uses it for bait
Nope.
to catch good fish. Anyway, I love pork chops. And
Yeah.
Especially if I have been to a place where I can say, oh, I know this place has good pork chops. I will be inclined to order pork chops when we go out.
Yeah.
Because I do really like them. I really, really like barbecue. And if we're somewhere that has a good name for barbecue, like I won't. You can mess that up. You can mess up a pork chop too.
Pretty easy.
But I don't always have time to barbecue at home like I would want to. So if I know this place has good barbecue, I'll roll on that. But
Yeah. Seafood. I like seafood.
yeah,
I mean, I'll go to a steakhouse and look at their $40 or $50, T-bones and steaks and
get a plate full of clams
well,
instead.
walleye or, or some kind of fish or,
I like swordfish. That's pretty
I've
good
never
stuff.
had that.
It's pretty
I've had
good.
halibut. Halibut's good.
Oh,
Walleye.
just for
I like
the halibut?
walleye.
Just for the halibut.
Halibut. Yep.
I like that. Halibut's good. Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I'll probably shrimp, seafood. I
Yeah.
mean, fish. I could.
I will go for the pastas usually, mostly with chicken.
Right.
Chicken pastas, or I actually do burgers quite a bit, and I kind of get criticized for that. But my response, I kind of get the haystack burgers or
Oh, yeah.
smokehouse burgers because they're like, well, you can make a burger at home, which I can, but I try to get the ones with the toppings
Well,
that aren't so easy to throw on,
Yeah.
like lettuce, tomato. It's more,
You get the crunchy onions,
yeah, oh yeah.
and then they put crunchy onions and barbecue sauce on it, and
Yeah.
they're like, "It's cowboy burger," and you're
Yeah,
like,
you could leave the barbecue sauce.
Yeah.
It don't belong on a hamburger.
But if
What-
you get hash browns and a sunny side up
Oh,
egg
yeah.
and
That's
slab,
delicious.
I was just going to throw chicken fried steak and hash browns out there.
ooh, I do like that.
I
too.
mean,
Yep.
you can't, if it's a real hand breaded, like
Oh, yeah.
a real chicken fried steak,
good stuff.
I mean, you can't go too wrong with one
Yeah.
of them.
yeah, and
Kind of a steady staple.
oh yeah, I do like that. And I'll be honest, like I know we sort of poke at chicken or whatever a little bit, but I do like chicken, and actually
I don't
like,
mind it. Yeah.
I actually like turkey as well. If we end up at a barbecue joint and you get like the 3 meat
Yeah,
platter thing,
yeah.
I almost always put smoked turkey on there because I do really like it. And
That's
chicken
fried
is,
turkey is underrated.
I think,
Yeah.
and chicken is a pretty good.
It's a safe bet.
It
I'd say.
is, yeah, it is, and it's a pretty good carrier of like if you want Cajun style or Italian
You can
style.
put a lot of
or-
stuff
you
on it.
could
Yeah.
do
Yeah,
several
it's pretty
different ways.
versatile, and so we eat a lot of chicken, and
Yep.
I'm not afraid to admit I like it.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
I don't mind it if it's cooked good. I mean, there's a lot of times, I've said I go into the truck stop or gas station, to grab one of the things in the little
Yeah.
twirly deal. And,
Yeah.
and
It's
my
Russian.
theory is I'm going to get a chicken sandwich because, my level of disappointment in
Yep.
a bad chicken sandwich isn't going to be nearly as high as, you see them cheeseburgers or something
Yeah,
going around in
yeah,
there.
that's
And you
a
get
good
one of
point.
them and think, boy, this is going to be good. And it's like,
Yeah,
ugh.
yeah.
So I just know I'm,
All right,
but I do like chicken if it's, smoked or you can grill
Oh,
it,
yeah.
season it up. And I mean, no, it's not bad.
Yeah, I do too. You want to talk about disappointment? If you are any sort of an establishment, continuity is key. Like,
True.
so you should be able to walk into a restaurant or your place of business if you're a chain and just know that what you're getting is what you're
Oh,
getting.
yeah.
Right. Okay. So example, we were clear way out of the area one time and we wheeled into a Casey's and it was fairly early in the morning yet. So, oh yeah, breakfast pizza sounds good. And my buddy grabbed 2 and I grabbed 2 and, kind of sleepy and kind of in a hurry. And so grabbing a cup of coffee, we were at a training event or whatever. And some Casey's put nacho cheese on their breakfast pizza. And it was in such a fashion that it sort of blended in like maybe it was egg. So it didn't stand out, right? Like, whoa, there's something. I bit into that and I'm like, you have got to be kidding me right now. I mean, Casey's, if you're okay, we straightened out the cell phone people.
Well, won't be getting sponsorship from Casey's General Store anytime soon, will we?
Just adding,
We have straightened out the Union Pacific. We're working on,
except they closed down both crossings last week for 2 days?
yeah,
Yeah.
maybe they should just close down. And Casey's, if you're listening, I don't know if is the head boss, is his name Casey or like
Sounds good to me.
John Casey,
Mr. and Mrs. Casey.
John Casey the third or whatever.
Yep.
We love your store. Just quit putting nacho cheese on your breakfast
At least
pizza.
Tell
label
people.
it.
Tell people.
Label it.
Yes.
People know.
But like Casey's coffee, and okay. I don't know if you've got in on this. I have a conspiracy theory here. I like Casey's coffee.
I don't think the beans do anything. I think they're for looks. Like I think
Beans, what are you talking about?
so. You go to the Casey's, you go to get the coffee. They've got the fancy, like you make your selection and it grinds the beans right there.
Whole beans above it.
Yep.
Oh, really?
Yep.
And I mean, it's not your truck stop cauldron of coffee thing. It's supposedly it grinds the beans right there and then it does all the stuff. I think the noise is programmed into the machine. I think the beans are there for looks. I think it is all the same coffee anyway.
It's the same filter and ground coffee
I
underneath
think
it all.
Yeah, I think so. But I still like
guess
it.
I've never noticed that. I must go to the wrong pot because mine just seems like one of them little flipper tabs and you fill your coffee cup and that's it.
Have you been to Casey's lately?
Well, apparently not.
No, I was going to say. Otherwise, you'd know.
I'm going to have to look at that next time I go.
But I mean, I like it. I like Casey's coffee. I just don't think it's grinding them in house. I don't, because I've never seen the level of the beans go down. They're always the same. But you get
stand there and just act like you're a greeter and just keep pouring people's cups of coffee and see if it actually does go down or not.
I should try that.
Just put a red shirt on and stand there. Can I get you a cup of coffee?
Excuse me, sir. Can we get you to clean the bathroom? Like, whoa. I'm actually just going off duty. So sorry.
I'm in charge of the coffee beans.
Yeah, I'm just making sure the beans, but like you get the round. They're kind of like the glazed donut, but they're just completely round, no hole in the middle, full of raspberry jam or whatever.
Gross.
No,
Gross.
What you mean is fantastic.
Gross.
Yeah, no, those are good.
I mean, raspberry of all the jams. Why does that make it?
If you want to ruin a donut, put something in the middle of it, is my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, if it ain't cinnamon, it don't belong in a donut.
I am surrounded right now
I
by
can't
people
believe.
that don't know what's going on. On that note, what you said, all right, you said you had a collection of, we're having enough fun and everybody's been hollering at us to make a longer one.
We've covered a lot of hot topics today.
We have.
Yeah.
We have. We're having a coffee break actually right now
A lot of problems here.
because if nothing else, this show absolutely runs on coffee and mostly Black Rifle coffee. We are not endorsed to say that. We just really believe they have the best coffee. And we might make this into a two-parter, which would be good too. But while we're still going, what do you got? You said you had another couple of BSBs. So what else you got?
All right.
Let's fire this thing up.
Let's see.
Or maybe Garth's ready to go
Because the first one took us way.
home. Do you want to go home? Maybe.
No, I'm good.
All right.
Okay. Want another food one or go a different route?
What are my choices?
Winter jobs, pickup engines, or sandwiches?
Oh, well, we sort of have beat food to death.
We kind of have.
So one of the other two surprises.
I'll go with winter jobs. So let's see, because I know Garth's kind of a Chevy guy, and I don't really know my Chevy engines that well. So we're going to go with breaking ice, hauling water, Okay, I'm going to put these two together. Hauling water and replacing disc bear. No, let me start over here.
Okay.
We're going to put breaking ice and hauling water in the same category.
Do you need some summer sausage?
No, certainly don't. Okay, so breaking ice and hauling water. That
makes sense.
One job.
All right.
They go together. See,
Okay. Yep.
commas and slashes. I can't remember how I broke it up in my phone. Replacing all the disc bearings on a field disc. You got to drop the gangs, put the bearings on. That's the other job. Or building electric fence. Which of those jobs are you going to buy? Which are you going to sell?
Okay,
Which
so
you burn to the ground?
I need a little clarification here, just so I know what I'm arguing.
You have these three jobs, and it's starting in the winter, and you have to, which one?
But
would you prefer?
Like winter, like right now, like nice outside ground, not froze, or
no? This is because this is dead of winter,
Middle of January.
froze ground.
It's going to be for building electric fence. It's not soft ground. This is either brick hard, dry ground, or frozen ground.
Okay, snow.
Yes.
Let's say a couple inches.
Drifts.
Not enough
Drifts.
to stop you, but not enough to
be pleasant.
Yeah. We're going to say not froze hard ground for electric fence, just the top 2 inches. You got to bust through that.
Right. Boy, I am going to sell all of it.
That's it.
Like, I don't know that I super hate it, but I don't think I like any of those.
Well, that's kind of the point of the exercise.
Okay.
There's no drink coffee and watch the view on here.
Well, I'd burn that to the ground. The view, not the coffee. Don't burn the coffee.
Don't burn the coffee.
My word. Boy. Okay, so
Picked a good set, didn't I?
Honestly, chopping ice is not terrible.
Mm.
We thankfully don't have to do much for hauling water. So for my own personal setup, I'm gonna buy that because most of our stuff's electric wells. We got wood burner tank heaters in most of them. So it's not ideal, but I'm going to do that. I'm going to buy hauling and chopping. I am probably going to sell overhauling the disc, and I'm probably going to burn the electric fence to the ground. However, I really enjoy actually electric fencing in nice weather.
Yeah.
Like the last month here has been great.
Mm.
So
I would let you do mine then.
yeah, I don't charge much.
Well, how about you? What order you throwing?
Well, I can tell you what, I'm whatever the worst of the worst is, it's going to be the bearings because, I mean, literally yesterday I had to change. I put new wheel bearings in the front two wheels of my old dirt scraper.
Oh,
and
yeah.
That just about did me in. I don't have one of them fancy deals, to pack bearings. So I'm, grease,
Oh,
grease
yeah.
in hand.
Yeah.
and pack 4 bearings and new races. I mean, I went, the whole 9 yards.
Well, you gotta
Yeah.
if you're gonna do it.
Yep. And that was a total of 4, and I am done replacing bearings.
Well, all right, now hang on now. I guess I should have. Where am I working on the disc at?
It's a barely heated shop, not a fully insulated year-round heater kept at 50 degrees. It's non-insulated. You got the propane
Corvette.
heater. Yeah, blowing heat. So one side of the disc you're burning up, the other side your fingers are going numb.
But I can shut the door and I'm out of the wind.
Yeah, you're out.
Yeah, I stay with my original decision.
So I'm probably buying an electric fence,
Really?
even in those conditions. I'm a guy that likes to see progress when I work. So being able to, fight through it and look back and say, well, hey, there's something I accomplished,
I give you that.
Yeah, I'd go with that. I mean, I don't like putting it in or taking it out, but I mean, it's kind of nice when you get done with whatever you're doing.
You're like, now I can graze this field. Like before, not possible. Now it's possible. And then I'd probably sell the breaking ice and hauling water for the simple fact the chances of everything going right on
Are
a cold
slim.
day for both of those, not great.
Slim.
And boy, I'm a guy, if something takes longer than I think it should, it really frustrates me. And you get
Like
those
this.
windy days and you chop the
Like
ice.
this episode.
And you finally break through the water and you're
Oh,
afraid of
yeah.
what that pressure comes up,
Yeah,
splashes
sprays
right in
you.
your face and freezes. I mean, instantly freezes.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yep.
You're like, well, that's one hole out of, an 8-foot tank. I've now got to chisel
Yeah.
out with water splashing in my face. And then hauling water, you get out there, maybe the motor on the nurse trailer doesn't start. If
Yeah.
you're running a pump, maybe the pump's froze. You can't even get it to turn over. It froze up in the hose, and now you're trying to thaw out stuff in minus degree weather.
I don't have that to deal with. I mean, I'm like you, got electric, and
Yeah.
my chopping ice. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm one of them guys that puts enough water in the tank they can all come up and get a drink of water, and then, I mean, it's down to the bottom, and
Yep.
if you ain't here to drink when I put water in there, you can be first tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then disc bearings, it's just the whole, how long it takes. I mean, just the dropping, taking all the discs off, all the spacers.
I thought disc bearings were fix as fail. What is this preventative maintenance you're talking about?
I don't know. This just shop work in general just seems to take long. And again, it's one of those things that never goes as planned. There's always something froze. There's always something that is hard to get off. And
And getting those arbor bolts, getting the nuts on those loose, there is days that is a project. But I will say I almost have had worse luck getting them tight enough again. Like you think you're where you need to be, and then you go out and you disc 10 acres and you're like, boy, that one looks like you're starting to get a blade that
Wobbling
a little. And
kind of it's kind of the antithesis of my argument for electric fence. Like you replace the disc bearing gangs, you put it all back together, looks exactly the same.
Unless you're putting
before
on
you
new
start.
blades too,
Well, right, but I mean,
which you should probably be doing.
it's just you can't even see the fruits of your labor.
No.
I mean, you know it's done. It's going to help you in the long term, but you get all done and you're like, well, it's not any shinier. It's
You don't paint the blades?
no.
I'm not a mechanic. I mean, my mechanical skills are.
I like wrenching. I like mechanicking. I like that sort of thing. If you would have said like a lot of other stuff, I would have put that first, but I have overhauled a disc before, and I'm
just thankful for the John Deere techs who do winter inspections on combines all winter long.
Oh.
Can you imagine doing that over
No.
and over and over?
No,
Oh, my goodness.
As a matter of fact, I cannot. That would be miserable. Yeah.
I'm thankful they do it, but the shop work.
So
Yeah,
it's not
I'm
for
not
me.
either.
you're talking about chopping ice, and we had a bull pasture. We've had a couple off and on that don't necessarily have live water. So that is like my one experience with having to haul water, or, we'll put them on a stock field by themselves or whatever. And it's usually a small patch out of the way. Okay. So you have to haul water, which means you're almost never getting any sort of, when I say warm water, even ground temperature water, right? Because by the time you get there, they're just cold. They turn into blocks ice. And I was chopping ice one day, and it was a fairly new tank, and the old axe went zinging, and I hit the ledge of ice at an angle, and I ricocheted off of it. And I mean, I blasted a nice little hole right in the side of the tank.
No.
And I'm like,
Awesome.
That's frustrating.
that is super great. Like, Aaron is going to be really impressed with that. And, but you know what? We got it back to the shop in the spring and like kind of pounded it back together and got the MIG welder out and stitched it shut, and then sprayed it both sides with Flex Seal.
Nice.
And
Just like the infomercial.
yep. And we set it in the pasture, and to this day, it doesn't leak. So
Sweet. It's nice when that works out.
it's rare, but
That's kind of, I'm trying to think, but putting bentonite and leaking.
Yeah.
It's kind of,
there's nothing wrong with that.
it's kind of like putting a Band-Aid on something. But you're just like, oh,
That's what they invented it for.
It's like this tank's leaking. It's 20 degrees. I really don't want to mess with.
If I can just get it by one more year.
George W. Bentonite invented that to block tanks. So there's no harm in that.
Oh no, it's just gotta you just pour it in and walk away.
Surely that'll be fine. Well, yeah.
I'll get on that next year.
Yeah, that's right. But you cut next year, you're like, boy, that hasn't leaked in a whole year.
Yeah.
We
I
might
think-
as well just ride her out.
I
now.
think it'll be fine. Yeah. It's like that time you dumped a little oil treatment in something that was burning a little oil. Like, it's made it this long.
Yep.
Or Alumaseal in the radiator.
Exactly.
Like, hey, I don't see any
I
problem.
don't see you need to replace the radiator for $1 tube. Fix that.
Yeah.
Piece of cake,
Then all of a sudden, it's just all the coolant's gone.
Well, yeah. Yeah. Paul Harvey used to talk about, what was it? It was a product line of leak stop stuff. Oh boy, somebody's yelling at the radio right now. It's called, but I can't think what it's called. But he always used to, you matched the color on the floor of the garage with the color on the front of the tube. And, if it was green or if it was red or if it was brown or whatever. And then you dumped it in the appropriate system and it just fixed it right up. And I thought, I bet it doesn't.
Somewhere along the lines.
Yeah, which is right where it's at, stuck in the line. But yeah, I suppose we probably should have led with this, but anything fun going on for you this winter, Garth? Or what are you going to do for fun when you're not advising us on how
put
to-
electric fence in and chop ice?
Sure. Not going to Cancun or
Not-
we need to introduce you into fun. Sounds
Not
like you
that
have a
I'm
little
aware
bar.
of.
yeah.
I'm trying to think here. I don't really know what we're going to do. Wife and I last year, fall, went down to Amarillo to the ranch rodeo thing down there.
Wow.
That I would recommend that.
That sounds
would
fun.
be neat.
That it really is. That I would recommend that. I talked about going down this year. Our son does some roping in UNL, so we went to a couple of his rodeos around and kind of got the travel bug out a little bit. But
Yeah.
no, I if you guys want something to do,
I can resist a dad joke. Like, if we left now, we could get to Amarillo by morning.
yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I see what you did there.
Yep. 8 hours.
Yeah.
Thank
you.
you.
Just
Thank
getting
you, George.
halfway through Oklahoma, like, we ought to hit Amarillo by
By
morning.
morning,
yeah. It's 2:00 in the afternoon. We'll make it there by 6. What are you talking about?
Are you familiar with Stony LaRue?
Oh yeah.
See, I'm fearful of the Oklahoma breakdown. So,
It's surely got you crying.
yeah. What? Well, maybe not. So, but you're doing a little roping yourself, aren't you?
Very little.
Oh, very little.
I am the one that gets the horses used to getting it wrapped around their ears and their nose and their front feet tangled up in it, and that's my job, to desensitize them all.
Yeah.
So they don't buck the kids off.
Yeah,
But
you're the roping equivalent of a Walmart sack on a
pretty
stick.
much. Pretty much.
So you're not hitting the winter Southern circuit.
I am not planning on going on the circuit yet. I would be in the 45 and older division.
Well, just be a healer so that you can blame the header half the time.
Well, I was going to say,
Yeah,
that would work.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was thinking about that too, like what we were going to do for fun this winter, but we have cattle, so
That's going to be fun.
that's what we do. At some point, we normally, Aaron and I, get down to the Haymarket area there in Lincoln, and we'll try to tie that in with a Christmas shopping trip. And there's some really good restaurants and some kind of
It's fun
stuff.
to go down there to that.
Skating rink. Yep.
Yeah,
It
so
is.
we'll go down there maybe, hopefully, and which it's funny. When I was a kid, if we were gone for like 3 milkings, that was a vacation, right?
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah, Lincoln was a
yeah,
vacation destination.
right. And I always thought, you know what? When I grow up and I am king of my own world and I have adult money and I can do what I want, I'm going to take a week-long vacation.
Mm.
And I think our honeymoon is the only week-long vacation we've ever taken.
I don't know if I've ever been on a
I
week-long
don't think I have
vacation.
either.
We were gone for a week for our honeymoon, but other than that, we still end up with the 2-day trip.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say,
So,
you always turn into your dad, but I remember kind of all the time Mom would just make the joke that we sure seem to come home from Lincoln a lot faster than we drove to Lincoln.
right.
That's kind of how my vacations seem to go now.
Yeah.
Sure seem to get home a lot faster than we made it there.
Your
Yeah.
kids are young enough. You could probably take them to Kearney to a hotel for the weekend.
We
and
did. I mean, you're right.
ride
just had a
ride
blast.
the elevators
Or
and swim in the pool.
This
And
summer, we wanted to do something big before
you could get away with that pretty easy.
Yeah, before we had a newborn in the house, and we were talking about we were talking about Denver. We wanted to show them the mountains,
Yeah.
the water park and stuff. We just kind of got to thinking about it and
Stopped
like,
at North Platte.
just what's what we did. We went to Cody Park,
Oh, yeah.
made a whole day of it there, and I mean they had a blast.
Oh,
And we're just kind of
love that place.
part of it was like, Denver's going to be expensive
Yep.
and it's going to be real hectic. It's going to be hard to keep track of the boys.
A fair
Some
amount
will
of
be we can do later. But
Fair amount of
we're only
are we
going to be
there
able
yet?
to take them to Cody Park and get ice cream and ride these
Yeah.
rides and look at animals. And that's only going to be fun for a couple more years.
Mm-hmm.
Do the easy ones.
And that's what we did. We just made a day of it out there, and all they had a blast.
Oh,
you
yeah.
can head to the Black Hills after Cody Park wears out. You can go up there for.
That's I
That's
haven't
a
been
good
up there
kid.
myself, and I want to, but that's another thing. Like, maybe they need to be a little older for.
That's a good kid vacation. Bear country. They could spend the day in bear country.
Yep, we've been to. So we've got some friends that live
Flintstone Village. Oh God. Yeah.
No, I didn't know they had such a.
Oh yeah.
Like what
In-
town near?
Is that as you're coming in there? Is it Hot Springs? Man, I don't know.
Okay,
My wife would know. Maria would know.
Might have
because
to look.
I haven't made it to South Dakota. Closest I've been is Butte.
Oh, well, you
So-
almost made it.
I know I
You were
almost made
close.
it. I was real close. But
We've got some friends that live up around Rapid, so
Yeah.
been up there, and we went and did Mount Rushmore and Bear Country and all that.
I'll Google that now that you got me thinking.
And it's
because that's country I want to see too.
a lot of fun.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just we know there's like the flash and wow factor we're going to have to use on them when they're preteen,
Yeah,
and they'll remember it more. They'll be able to.
and you'll be good at Cody go-karts for a while, because at some point, or Cody Park,
Yeah,
but you can go to Cody go-karts then,
that's true.
and they can,
Oh man, they'd love it. They're
yeah.
into driving 4-wheelers now, so
Flintstone Village is 5 hours and 43 minutes from
gosh,
here.
that's
Just
a
so,
long miss.
I mean, you
Boy,
could.
that's a jaunt.
Just fuel up the Power Stroker and let her rip.
That's right. We will keep it fueled up.
You got 2 tanks.
You got 2 tanks. Yeah, you switch to that's it.
Custer. It's a Custer.
No, that's good anxiety free. When you're on the first tank of a dual tank pickup, you're like, nothing to worry about here.
But do you switch when the first tank is down to a quarter, or do you let it spit and sputter?
In between a quarter and empty.
Okay.
Yeah.
No
spitting and sputtering.
You didn't do the like, I think she's dying, and
No.
flip it and pump the throttle.
No,
a couple
I'm
times.
too afraid
Come
to
on,
lose
baby.
Because my pickup doesn't have the electric fuel pump. So if it loses prime, we're in a bigger pickle than
Yeah, bigger problem.
than just
You're priming, you're
getting
pumping.
a gas can.
All right. I pretty much all pickups are great. I mean, I don't know. I have a preference probably, but one thing I Ford figured out to get dual tanks and put the fills on the same side, but Chevrolet did not.
They're on opposite
you
sides.
You wouldn't think that would be a hard thing to come up with.
Who at Chevy went, you know what, let's put one on each side.
Yeah. Just to see how long it takes people to.
It was somebody who pulled up to the wrong side of the fuel pump a few too many times. They're like, I'm just going to hedge my bets. We're going to put one on each side, so I'm always right.
If you were lucky enough to pull up where like you could pull in the middle and there was an island on each side open, you could, but otherwise you're trying to stretch the hose across the box, and sometimes it wasn't long enough to do that. It was the most.
Our old 84's that way. The one we did was got one on each side, and you pull in and, got to have regular because it's,
Oh yeah.
so come in town, fill it up, and then you got to stop and pull out and turn around and fill the other side up.
Got to leave somebody there holding the handle, because otherwise
somebody will pull it behind
somebody
you.
will steal your spot.
Buy the next 3 people behind you a tank of gas. 'Cause
Yeah.
you lost your line.
Right. I just, and it does not seem like it would be rocket science.
You wouldn't think.
And even the whole, you know what, we could have a 30-gallon tank, but let's put 2 15s on it.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know. I don't know. But I will say there was a GM product. We had and we've talked about it on here, but we had a Regency 98 car,
Mhm.
and the license plate flipped down.
Yep.
And that's where and now I think that's cool. You could go back to that.
You could go back.
For one, you're always right.
Flip the plate down and you click.
Yep. You just gas it up there, but that's from the days when you had 2 keys and one went in the ignition and one went in the trunk
Yeah.
or the door to get you in. But yeah, anyway, good times.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know, guys.
funny.
What do you think? Anything else you want to go?
Oh, what haven't we covered?
We have gotten a wide array
Yeah.
covered tonight.
No, I have one more marketing question for Garth.
Buy or sell?
No, it's just more. What's
Yeah.
it like having to be a therapist for people when the markets go down,
Oh,
or like a report goes the wrong
You
way?
know-
I mean, how much of a part of your job is?
some of it is. I mean, it is. You get. It's easy. It's easy to get pretty long in the tooth. I mean, things aren't ever going to get better, and back in the day when corn move a half a cent. I mean, that was a big deal. And anymore, the report don't go our way, like this year. I mean, corn went nothing but down, and there's no hope and whatever. I mean, the market's changed enough now that it's going to go back up.
Right.
I mean, there was a lot of years. Where it wasn't. I mean, it didn't move. I mean, if it
Went down 5 cents over the course of a year, and you were just
well, I
out of
mean,
luck.
it is. I mean, your window of opportunity in a deal like that is like one,
Right.
and it's easy to cuss the funds when they're doing the wrong thing for us. No, they shouldn't even be in there, and blah blah blah. But they're the ones that make it go up. They're the ones that make it go down, and we just sooner or later it's gonna change. I mean, something will come along and spike it, or they'll just decide, what, we're at the bottom, and we're gonna turn around and buy it back.
Yeah.
So that's been a good change, even though sometimes it can be frustrating. It's
I just know you're good at calling everybody after a report. I'm just wondering, like the third report in a row that goes the bearish direction. If you're just like, oh,
Really?
Here comes
I'll text it
30
out.
conversations.
Yeah,
You
I'm not looking
you call
forward to
everybody
having-
after the report?
On
He
my-
don't never call me.
well, you don't
He's
sell
probably so
corn or
depressing.
grain.
Well, I know that's why you should call me because I'm the only one
You're
that's
the
happy
only-
about it.
You're always happy.
Hey, Garth,
might
did you
have
see
to.
corn's down? This is great.
Corn's down 18 today.
Oh, sorry, Jared, wrong number.
Oh, my bad.
Well, maybe I'll have to. No, it's not. It's I would say in the early days that was the case because you just knew that corn was markets didn't move. I mean, they didn't. I mean, this is kind of what it is, and this is what it's going to be, and it's not the case today. I mean, we're going through a lull right now, I would say. I mean, we're up or down a little bit. We're really not going anywhere, but it's, at some point, yes, we are going to go somewhere, and we need a trend. I mean, to try to trade a market like corn has been lately. I mean, we go up a little, then we back off, then we go back up, then we go back down. I mean, that's hard to trade because it's directionless.
Right.
We're slopping around.
Just drifting.
Yep. You hold your cards at the bottom, sell it when we get to the upper ends. And if, we go back down, you want to play the range a little bit, but it's not, we don't have to talk too many guys off the ledge anymore. I mean, it was kind of the case, a while ago that, you kind of did, but
Mm-hmm.
the market's changed. So it's,
Yeah, I could see how missing that one window would be
I mean, yeah,
frustrating for a lot of guys. Yeah.
at least now we know it's, there's going to be some ups and downs, and
I mean, if you had we have the benefit of hindsight now. We're like, well, if markets moved 5 cents in a year, that'd be a lot less stressful.
well,
Right.
as long as it's,
But I mean, back then, 5 cent, if that was the swing, then yeah, you want to hit that. But now you just watch 5 cents go by and you're like, well, we might.
doesn't even matter. You don't even notice
That's
it.
nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Well, and then you talk about stuff that is ridiculous, but I remember my dad talking commodity loan program type stuff, and you would have a loan on it, and you'd have the corn as the collateral on the loan, and you'd let it expire and forfeit the corn because you made more money that way than if you actually sold the corn.
taking the loan. Yeah.
And I remember Dad talking about
But that was the same way. I mean, in the late 90s, I mean, LDPs, and you'd take loans and you had your buybacks and posted county price and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it was below loan, and those are the years
getting to pick and roll stuff and just
I mean,
yuck.
You'd look out, and I mean, corn nearby is $1.80, and next fall corn is $2.10, or whatever it was, and you'd say, geez, we better do something with that $2.10 because it's, we know it's going to be $1.80, and you'd say, well, you figure tack on a 30-40 cent LDP on that, that's going to be a pretty good ticket, you know. And that was tough. I mean, that was tough because if you did get the change, and so I mean, it's a lot more volatile and can be a lot more stressful. But I mean, at least there's going to be some opportunities somewhere down the road.
Well, and on top of that, when you got done with all that stress and sleepless night and figuring that all out, then you had to go cultivate corn on an open platform 40-20. So, I mean, you want to talk about just jumping off the edge.
Yeah.
Not even a side console, had a puzzle shifter on it. And,
Couldn't even hear the radio.
No, I mean, the neighbor 3 miles away could hear it. It has changed a lot. I mean, it kind of crazy.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, every generation has their own set of issues, but
I think the biggest thing in marketing, I mean, is just, if the markets trade, I mean, 52 weeks in a year, and we say if we take 5 days is 260 some days it would trade, take 10 off, 250 days a year the market trades.
Yeah.
You've got 1/250th of a chance of hitting the highs.
right.
I mean, it's not going to happen, but just don't do something stupid. I mean, don't hurt yourself.
Right.
And things will change. You make the best decisions you can with what you know at the time. And when the information changes, what do we need to do to change with it?
Well,
And that's, that's what's going to in and out.
And you told me a long time ago, start early and you've got time on your side and you can do all sorts of things with enough time. I mean,
You get opportunities.
yeah, for sure.
This year was tough because the opportunity would have been in April when,
And you don't even know that yet, really.
well, you don't even know. I mean, we're looking at it's flooding. I mean, it's raining, it's flooding,
It's a cool spring.
cold, it's wet. We can't plant,
Getting 8 tenths every night.
Tense.
Eight. That could be another topic, really. Hundreds. I'm a hundreds guy.
Yep.
We're thinking about measuring in thousands.
Some
we
days
ought
we
to.
need to.
Yeah.
757.
Thousands.
But
Yeah. So,
Boy, the neighbor report would get real contentious.
yeah. Yeah.
What did you get? I got 459,000. I got 502.
Yep.
No way you got 3,000 some more.
Yeah. And I know that because I drilled a hole in his rain gauge. There was this old guy back home on the silage crew, and he come to work one day, and we'd kind of had a shower overnight, and so we were kicking around in the shop before we could get started. And I said, "Hey, Charles, what'd you get for rain last night?" And he said, the rain gauge up by the shop had 40 in it, and the one out by the road had 30. So nearest I could tell, we had 70 hundredths last night. So anyway, I always think of that when guys are talking about rain, but I wonder if they added their rain gauges together or, but
That's funny.
so, all righty. Well, you know what? You wanted a long one. Here you go. But I think we're probably gonna call that good here. We do appreciate Garth coming in for sure.
Yeah, I had fun.
thank you.
Thanks for
Yeah.
that was enjoyable.
We were glad that hopefully we didn't beat you up too bad, and maybe you'll want to come back again.
Oh no.
We don't even have to talk marketing next time. We can just talk about
Yeah,
fun
we'll talk
stuff.
about
but
crop insurance.
Politics.
Next time.
Yeah, next time.
crop insurance.
crop insurance. Yeah,
Yeah, we
And,
can wow them with that.
That's
Oh yeah. We'll
Didn't
do.
even get into that.
Riveting.
Yeah, and we haven't even touched on some.
LRPs.
Oh yeah,
Ooh.
yeah.
Revenue protection.
Yo,
Revenue
yeah.
plus.
All sorts of fun stuff. Yeah,
It'll be awesome.
it'll
Yield
be
adjusted
awesome.
Trend. Just the
Yeah.
buzzwords everyone's talking
Yo,
about.
man, yeah. What else?
APHs and everything.
Yo.
Oh man.
Low hanging fruit, and what else can we? But
No,
yeah,
it was fun. This
Good.
was fun.
Good.
well, we're glad you
enjoyed
could
it.
be here. I don't know if you're actually looking for any more business, but if you have any marketing questions,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
we're not going to reveal Garth's information here, but you can certainly reach out to us, and we'll vet you ahead of time. And if we think they're any good, we'll pass them on. but if you have any questions with commodity marketing or livestock, risk protection or any of that sort of thing, you can certainly
Sure. Yeah, don't hesitate.
you can reach out, and we'll get you in touch. Or if you know Garth, you can just give him a shout. If you want to be part of the show, you can email us at thefarmertanpodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook. You can certainly comment on any of the posts there. We're on whatever else, Spotify, iHeartRadio,
Apple Podcast.
Apple Podcasts, and all that good stuff, which
Facebook, Instagram.
you probably already know if you're listening to us. But anyway, feel free to reach out, comment on any of that if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. We appreciate you guys riding along with us tonight. We'll pull up to the end of the field and boot you out because honestly, we're tired of it too, and we
need our armrest back.
Yeah, I mean, you've been riding around with us for 2 hours.
Yeah.
It's time to go home.
Yeah.
Until next time, we'll see you guys later.